Good afternoon. I'm Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, and thank you for joining us. We're here today to discuss the public release of video footage from the July 8th death of Alexis Giovanni Cardenas upon his release from the Harris County Jail. I want to first begin by extending my personal condolences once again to Mr. Cardenas' family for the loss of their loved one. Every life is sacred, and that's true for each and every one of the nearly 9,000 people entrusted into our custody on any given day. I'm here today to provide the best update I can while also respecting the integrity of the multiple independent investigations into this incident that are currently still underway. The Texas Rangers are conducting a criminal investigation. The Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences is conducting an autopsy and medical investigation. The Harris County District Attorney's Office is also investigating, and that office will gather all evidence to present to a grand jury at the appropriate time. Our Sheriff's Office Internal Affairs Division is also reviewing the actions of all our personnel to confirm compliance with all relevant policies. One of our policies, which I implemented years ago in the spirit of transparency, is that we release relevant video footage within 45 days of a critical incident involving a person's death. Earlier today, we invited the Cardenas family to view the 17-minute video privately in advance of its public release, which is our standard practice. This video will be posted to the Sheriff's Office website upon completion of this media availability. We are not playing the video here simply because it would be improper to comment on the facts of the case before those investigations have concluded. While the video provides important insight into what happened in the moment before Mr. Cardenas' death, I urge folks to please be mindful that we will not have a complete understanding of all the relevant facts until the investigations are complete. I don't have all the answers yet. Here's what I can say. Alexis Giovanni Cardenas was booked into the jail at 6:26 p.m. on Sunday, July 6. Houston police had arrested him on multiple outstanding misdemeanor warrants. Records show that during the booking process at 6:25 p.m., Cardenas underwent our standard medical screening. This 38-question process revealed no major physical or mental health issues. Mr. Cardenas spent about 30 hours in jail before his release on July 8th at 12:50 a.m. Because Mr. Cardenas appeared agitated and was disrupted during his time in our custody, the two detention officers escorted him to a door leading outside the building. Mr. Cardenas was almost out of the door when he turned and forced his way back inside an area that we call the releasing vestibule. A struggle ensued, and at one point a detention officer deployed his taser, which didn't appear to have any effect. At one point, Mr. Cardenas forced his way back into the secure area of the jail where inmates were still being processed for release. Multiple detention officers eventually engaged in the struggle to gain control over Mr. Cardenas, who proved extremely difficult to restrain. After control was established, the detention officers noticed that Mr. Cardenas was unresponsive. A detention sergeant then administered CPR, while jail medical staff responded to the area to render additional aid. Cardenas was then taken to St. Joseph's Hospital by the Houston Fire Department, where he was pronounced deceased at 1:57 a.m. As sheriff, I am extremely concerned any time a life is lost. I also recognize that our detention officers are hardworking public servants who are frequently called upon to deal with extremely challenging situations that come with operating the largest jail in Texas. This incident was particularly unusual in that our detention officers rarely encounter people who are attempting to force their way back into our jail premises. We're committed to doing all we can to give our people the training and support they need to maintain a safe and secure facility. In spite of our best efforts, sadly, there are times when people die in jail. When that happens, it's our duty and responsibility to examine the circumstances to determine whether we need to modify our policies, training, or resources to do even better. That is what we're doing now, in coordination with the many other stakeholders involved in operating this jail. For now, we have temporarily assigned 1 sergeant and 6 detention officers to duties that do not entail contact with inmates until we have a more complete picture of what happened. In conclusion, I want to reiterate that our entire Sheriff's Office team takes seriously our duty to ensure the safety of the people in our custody and the persons who work inside the jail. We are committed to making sure the various investigations in Mr. Cardenas' passing are thorough and conducted with integrity. In Spanish. Buenas tardes y gracias por acompañarnos. Estamos aquí para hablar sobre la publicación del video relacionado con la muerte de Alexis Giovanni Cárdenas el pasado 8 de julio, tras ser liberado de la cárcel del condado de Harris. Quiero comenzar expresando de nuevo mis más sinceras condolencias a la familia del señor Cárdenas. Su vida tenía valor, al igual que cada una de las casi 9,000 personas bajo nuestro cuidado en cualquier día. Estoy aquí para ofrecer una actualización respetando al mismo tiempo la integridad de las múltiples investigaciones que están en curso. Los Texas Rangers están llevando a cabo una investigación criminal aparte y independiente. El Instituto de Ciencias Forenses del Condado Harris está realizando una autopsia y investigación médica. La Fiscalía del Condado Harris también investiga y reunirá toda la evidencia para presentarla a un gran jurado en el momento apropiado. Además, nuestra División de Asuntos Internos está revisando las acciones de todos nuestros empleados para confirmar que se cumplieron los reglamentos. Uno de nuestros reglamentos que implementé hace años con el espíritu de tener transparencia establece que publicamos videos revelantes dentro de los 45 días posteriores a un incidente crítico que involucra la muerte de una persona. Hoy temprano invitamos a la familia Cárdenas a ver en privado este video antes de hacerlo público, como parte de nuestro protocolo estándar. Este video será publicado en nuestro sitio web una vez finalice esta conferencia. No presentaremos el video aquí porque sería inapropiado comentar sobre los hechos mientras las investigaciones continúan. Aunque el video ofrece importante información sobre los momentos antes del fallecimiento del señor Cárdenas, les pido que tengan en cuenta que no tendremos una comprensión completa de todos los hechos hasta que concluyan las investigaciones. Aún no tengo todas las respuestas yo mismo. Esto es lo que puedo compartir. Alexis Giovanni Cárdenas fue ingresado a la cárcel a las 6:26 p.m. del domingo 6 de julio. La policía de Houston lo arrestó por varias órdenes judiciales pendientes por delitos menores. Los registros muestran que durante el proceso de admisión a las 6:25 p.m., el señor Cárdenas pasó por nuestro examen médico estándar de 38 preguntas, el cual no reveló problemas importantes de salud física o mental. El señor Cárdenas pasó alrededor de 30 horas en la cárcel antes de ser liberado el 8 de julio a las 12:50 a.m. Debido a que el señor Cárdenas se mostraba alterado y causaba disturbios mientras estaba bajo nuestra custodia, 2 oficiales lo escoltaron hasta una puerta que conduce al exterior. Estaba a punto de salir cuando se dio la vuelta y forzó su entrada nuevamente a la zona de liberación. Se produjo un forcejeo y un momento un oficial usó su taser, pistola eléctrica, pero no tuvo efecto. En un momento, el señor Cárdenas logró ingresar de nuevo al área segura de la cárcel, donde otros reclusos estaban siendo procesados también para su liberación. Varios oficiales intervinieron para intentar controlarlo, ya que fue extremadamente difícil de sujetar. Después de lograr controlarlo, los oficiales notaron que el señor Cárdenas no respondía. Un sargento inició primeros auxilios mientras el personal médico de la cárcel acudía al lugar para brindar ayuda. Luego fue trasladado al Hospital St. Joseph por el Departamento de Bomberos de Houston, donde falleció a las 1:57 de la mañana. Como alguacil me preocupa profundamente cada vez que se pierde una vida. También reconozco que nuestros oficiales de detención son servidores públicos dedicados que enfrentan situaciones muy difíciles en la cárcel más grande de Texas. Este caso fue particularmente inusual, ya que es rara la vez que enfrentamos a personas que intentan regresar a la cárcel por la fuerza. Es mi responsabilidad asegurarme de que nuestro personal tenga el entrenamiento y el apoyo necesario para mantener un lugar seguro. A pesar de nuestros esfuerzos, tristemente hay veces que las personas fallecen en la cárcel. Cuando eso ocurre, tenemos el deber de revisar todo y ver si necesitamos cambiar nuestros reglamentos, entrenamiento o recursos. Eso es exactamente lo que estamos haciendo ahora. en coordinación con otras agencias y partes interesadas que trabajan en el manejo de esta cárcel. Por ahora hemos asignado temporalmente a un sargento y 6 oficiales de detención a funciones que no implican contacto con nuestros residentes de la cárcel, mientras entendemos mejor lo que ocurrió. Para finalizar, quiero reiterar que todo nuestro equipo se toma muy en serio su deber de proteger a las personas bajo nuestra custodia, así como a quienes trabajan en la cárcel. Nuestro compromiso es que esta investigación se realice de forma eficaz y con integridad. Muchas gracias. That concludes my remarks, and I'll take any questions. If you could please raise your hand so I could acknowledge you first, and we could take it. Yeah.
Sheriff, in your personal opinion and experience viewing the video, do you think, in your opinion, protocols were followed?
At this point in time, like I referenced, I think the most appropriate thing is for us to have a more complete picture. It's when there's an outside agency that's the lead investigative agency, really it's under their purview to start collecting all the information, so they conduct interviews. We want it to be a thorough investigation, so I don't think it's appropriate for me to really comment having partial information, not having the autopsy complete and those type of factors to better understand and to hear what information we gain from our personnel that's directly there. I wasn't there at the scene, so it's very hard for me to comment on something that I just didn't see in person. Yes.
Brianna Lewis with ABC 13. I know you mentioned this, but I want to make sure I'm understanding. We're not able to ask questions about the video. That's why you guys aren't sharing it right now?
You could ask questions. I'm just very limited because I don't have all the information. Well, the video obviously will speak to itself to some extent. What we're asking is just to have a more complete picture.
But that's why we're not able to see it in this press conference?
But we're releasing it at this time. So when you get out, you'll have access to the video. Yeah.
He was being released, but he was trying to essentially get back into part of the jail.
He had been released. He had been released already. He had completed the release process. He passed then through 2 different rooms and had already exited. Had exited. The door had opened, getting out of our premises when he quickly, forcibly tried to come back in, and then that's where a struggle ensued. We still had an ongoing operation with people still being released. We have to be mindful that we have a lot of people that are released, and one of the things we have to also watch for in our release process is that we don't have an erroneous release. So we have to be real careful that somebody in that other stage doesn't make a run out while this is going on, potentially. So a lot was happening at the time. And so, yeah, but that is the basic nature. That's why it's so unique. In 9 years that I've been sheriff here, I've never had a situation where somebody had already exited or was on the verge of literally exiting the door when they wanted to come back in for whatever reason.
Do we have any idea why he would do that?
I don't. Yes.
Did you meet with the family when they watched the video, or have you met with them to answer their questions?
I reached out to them the first day. Reached out to, I believe, 2 family members. Didn't receive an answer. I left messages for them, and then immediately, soon after, they had obtained counsel. And so since then, I have not spoken to them personally. Our personnel has had contact with them on the initial day, and so did I believe the Texas Rangers as well.
Okay, and the family said that he appeared to have his hands up, wasn't resisting. Is that your view of it as well?
To me, again, the video will speak for itself, but it appeared to have been an active struggle that was occurring during that time.
It
So
also seemed like there was a delay in applying CPR. Is that something you noticed as well?
all that will be under investigation in terms of the timing and when everything was administered or done. That'll be part of capturing a full picture, not only before everything transpired, during, and then obviously the post-incident, if you will.
So in your opinion, did they apply CPR quick enough?
I know that CPR was applied. Again, I wasn't there, so I don't know what was transpiring at the time or what they observed, or if I simply do not know. I can't comment on that. Yes.
Okay, just a couple things to clarify. So he had been released, but he was in the jail premises when this happened?
He was on our premises. He had already been released from, it's kind of a little complicated to explain. He had already been released. That process had been complete. Everything was complete. He was free to leave at that point. And as he was walking through the 2 different vestibules, exited the door, like if you were opening the door to head out, physically outside, was when he returned back again wanting to go in, but now he's free at that point and was still technically on our premises, though.
And so far, 7 employees that have been reassigned?
Yeah,
One sergeant and 6?
just with no inmate contact.
Okay.
Yes.
Has the sheriff's office shared this video with the Commission on Jail Standards?
We are doing that. Yes.
It hasn't been shared yet,
I
though?
believe today we're
Okay.
releasing.
And then it was low-level misdemeanor offenses that he was arrested for or booked for?
Municipal warrants. Yes.
Do you have any specifics on that?
I don't have the specifics on the type of warrants. Typically, municipal warrants are typically something like traffic related or something like of that level. So it was a low level arrest type warrants.
So it was low-level, and was there an indication that he was in any sort of mental health crisis?
We didn't make that arrest, so that would have to initiate with the Houston Police Department as far as what their interactions were, or what his, demeanor or status were, at the point of arrest, and what led up to his arrest. Our point started obviously at the point of booking, and then, while he was on our premises.
And if, in that case, does it mean that HPD would have had to make the call about, diversion of some sort?
There's options, there are options. And so, I can't speak for the Houston Police Department or their, again, I wasn't at their scene, so I don't know what transpired or led to a decision to arrest on a low-level type of offense. But, we see a wide variety of individuals that come here. We average about 300 bookings on any given day, from low-level type incidents that are maybe nonviolent all the way to the most serious offenses, as you all know. So it's a wide range of individuals, but we can't speak to their specific reason for arrest or any of the arrest part, because we weren't there. Yes.
I think this was kind of just asked, but can you talk about the intake process and at what point would they have detected if he was suffering from some sort of mental health issue at the time?
He spent, again, about approximately 30 hours in our custody. So they come into intake. There's some standard, paperwork and things that the arresting officers have to do. Then they go through a thorough intake process where I think I mentioned 30-plus questions that are asked as standard protocol to assess a number of different factors. And at that point, nothing was obtained from Mr. Cardenas related to any mental health issues or crisis or anything of note, anything medical or anything like that. During his stay here, it appeared at times that he was being a bit disruptive, but nothing out of the ordinary. As I mentioned, we average about 300 bookings a day. Nothing that was, again, overly disruptive, so I want to just be cautious and that there's nuance in that. I don't want to make it sound like, it was something extreme. And so we did not see any of that. At one point, he did receive some type of treatment while he was here. Again, nothing, that we don't see on a typical day. And none of his behavior, though, rose to a level that would have been unique to something we typically, we encounter. And a lot of folks don't want to be here. There's other defendants that are around. There's just a lot of activity that happens. This is like our main entry point and exit point to our jail, that particular facility. So nothing out of the ordinary stuck out to say it was something that we typically don't see. So nothing alerted us to the fact that there was some type of immediate crisis or imminent danger to him.
Can you say what sort of treatment he received while he was in the jail?
It was, I don't want to divulge his medical stuff at this point. Again, it was that's why the autopsy will be important and those other items. So I really can't speak because I don't have direct knowledge of the specificity of what he did, but sometimes something may be mentioned or brought up that just requires a little bit more closer review. And so that was done. Again, it was nothing out of the ordinary that we typically don't see or in any jail. And so some medical, contact was made. Nothing, again, out of, it's nothing remarkable. And so that's basically what he experienced.
As part of the investigations that are underway now, is there any look at the Sheriff's Office intake questions and review specifically because of this case?
Yeah, look, one of the things that we do, and we especially, it's in our best interest as well to make sure that thorough investigations are done because we want to learn from every incident. Again, I want to just point out that this is really a unique one. In my 9 years, we've never had a situation where something like this occurred where the person had already been released, was basically out the door, half of 1 foot out the door, literally, when then came back in. And so there was just a lot of different factors. And so, again, our detention officers have to do a great deal to manage these type of situations and maintain safety and on our premises. And so it's very unique. But directly, and yes, we're always looking, even now as we're moving through the investigation. Again, we want to be patient with all investigations because it's important to glean what we can. And that's why we temporarily have these individuals without inmate contact, and so we could have a better understanding of what happened because I know at a personal level, I care deeply for what happens in our facilities and for the individuals' loss of life, and again, we extend our condolences to the family because we understand that this is very extremely hard for them. And so we'll learn from each incident as best we can. And once it's all complete, we'll learn even more because we'll have a fuller picture of all the parallel investigations that are ongoing because there are multiple, as I referenced earlier. Yeah.
Can you say or have you been given a timeline on when the investigation by these agencies is expected to be done?
I don't, as required by state law, an outside agency investigates. And so we obviously for us, sooner is always better for everyone involved, but we also want to be respectful. They have to interview people, gather evidence. There's medical autopsies, and things that have to be, an autopsy has to be conducted. We're on their timeline, so nobody's given us a firm timeline, and that'd be something the Rangers would have to address.
What about the internal? Can you speak on that timeline-wise?
Our internal investigation is still ongoing also. And so again, a lot of it will also depend on information we glean from the others as well. And then ultimately, though, all of this will be presented to the district attorney's office. They're conducting their own investigation as well. They've been involved in this from the first day, so that they could then, at some point, present to a grand jury with, again, all the evidence. And then that's when we could also have a fuller picture. But our investigation's ongoing as well.
Last question, please.
Do we know if he was homeless and if he had someone waiting to pick him up after release?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if he. Let me just answer. Just fun.
Have y'all been given any clarity on the language of the whole in custody death versus out of custody death since he was released with the other agencies that you guys are partnering with?
No, we've reported it to the state, and then how they categorize it or classify it ultimately will be up to them. At the end of the day, we're focused on making sure that the family has a complete and thorough investigation, that we can learn or any lessons to be learned from this. So that's really our focus. It's been reported, or the state agencies have been notified, and ultimately it'll be them how they categorize it. And so that's what we focused on really the investigation and the semantics of it. It'll be up to them to decide how they classify it based on their requirements. I think somebody. I'll answer these two final.
Can you say how long investigations into jail deaths normally last?
It varies. It could be a year. I don't want to put a timeline. This is just, I'm just using a random marker just because there's toxicology. That's always important to view. Toxicology. Was there anything in the person's systems, anything, other things? So you have your medical one, you have your, investigate, and they have other investigations going on as well. And so it could last up to a year. It could extend longer. It could be sooner. And there's sometimes different factors that come in at different times. Like the autopsy may be released sooner, and then there's still other interviews. And so that's part of it too. We want to make sure that we allow time for everybody to be interviewed and those type of things, but that's up to the Rangers, again, their timelines and everything. Yeah, final one.
Maybe this will be clear from the video, but if it's not, were other inmates who were being released ever at risk from this scuffle that was going on, or was there any, were they even close to other inmates that there was any issue with?
Because this is such a unique situation, you know, anything could have happened, transpired, because it was a point of distraction at that point, you know, with it happened, but a lot of it was just confined outside of our release area. You know, it was more in the other vestibules. He did, if I remember correctly, briefly kind of go into now the secure area of the facility once again, but he was quickly returned back. It was quite a, it was a bit of a struggle back and forth for a bit. For several minutes, and then at some point at the end, like I said, is where they finally gained control of him, and then, you know, so basically that's what happened. But you know, again, I wasn't there to know what they were thinking or saying. Again, I suggested that, look, we do have other defendants that are now at the point of release, and everybody, just like he did, we have to make sure that they complete also a formal release process. Authorizing their release, confirming their release, because unfortunately in the past we've had unerroneous releases, you know, and so we always have to make sure that somebody's not there that's not, you know, that hadn't been vetted and makes their way out. We've seen that happen in the past where they jetted out a door, and so there's a lot of factors going on at that time, but I can't really speak to if there was any danger or anything. We don't think it was any particular danger to a person per se, just the security of the facility, and we just don't know. He was difficult to control, so we don't know what could have happened potentially. So, yeah. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.